Sabidi, welcome back, subscribers. It's me, Sab, here again with another episode of You Already Know, Suffering of Silence. So, today's episode, wow, where do I start? Okay, a lot of the episodes that you are seeing are actually vaulted episodes that I've kind of had in the making for a couple months. I just didn't have the chance to actually put out until now. This is actually a very fresh episode, very recent. So I actually wanted to make today's episode because, so I had already had plans to re-record this episode because I had previously recorded this episode, but I didn't really like the topics that I really was talking about. So yeah, basically I wanted to re-record this. So I had my day planned. I was like, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning, get some work done, go to some of my meetings, and then go to the gym, work a little bit more, and then in the evening I was going to record this episode. And originally my plan was to actually talk about just some like personal stuff I've been going through with like my family and just things that like I wasn't necessarily going to share too many details of what I'm actively going through with my family because I feel like it's very personal and I don't know if I'm ready to like share that with the world just yet. But I did have some stuff that I wanted to talk about, just kind of like, I think it's just like a little bit of a repeat of some of the stuff I previously spoke on, how I feel like there's just been an end to a lot of the things that I've been like, that I've held close to me. Like there's been an end to friendships, relationships, and just so many things in my life, right? I've had to close the door on so many of my friendships, especially recently, because I've just taken a lot more time and I think I've become a lot more self-aware of what aligns with my values and what seems to be more important to me, I guess. Like I've just essentially been redefining who I am. And I've realized that many of my friendships were out of convenience rather than out of the compatibility aspect of it all. And it's super unfortunate because like I said in that episode with Izzy, like I very much value friendship and I value relationships with people. As much as I have been awful in relationships with people, and I mean that in every aspect, not just romantic, I mean that in friendships, my family, etc. I really do value relationships in my life as best as I can because I'm still a human being and I'm still learning and I'm gonna make mistakes, you know? And so I just basically, I wanted to talk about that, but I was like, it kind of feels a little redundant. And I also felt like some of the stuff I was saying might come off the wrong way. And like, I might be a little bit offensive in what I'm saying because I feel so passionate about just where I'm at in my life right now. And I think I'll still talk about it, but I think that there's just a lot more that has developed in my life recently and more specifically today. So it was quite interesting because if I'm honest, I have felt a shift in my life for a while, right? I talk about it often. I talk about how I feel like I've become such a different person in the last year. And I take my responsibility in the fate of my career because I have been checked out for a while. Like I have not been 100% all in with my full-time job, my corporate job. But that came with my realization that I am not the person cut out for a corporate job. I am not the person who I'm just not that person who is satisfied and fulfilled with working a corporate 9 to 5. And I know I'm always grateful for the privileges I had with this job and how I'm able to how I'm able to have the flexibility and the ability to travel and also work a more task related position that is a little less demanding of my time. But I know that I've been a little checked out because, it's a little difficult when you're being transitioned to a million things at once. And I understand that change is a constant and you need to just flow with it. But sometimes when the change isn't something that you want, and if the job isn't really what you're passionate about, like, it's kind of hard to just flip a switch and be like, oh, I'm all in. Like, I'm dedicated to putting more of my effort into this. And I think what really was one of the last straws for me personally was in summer of 2023, I was in the height of the shits, with my job. I was working 12-hour shifts because I was trying to clean up a mess of things that someone else left behind, and I had to abruptly learn within 3 days, on top of actually transitioning into this new position within the last week or two. So learning my new position on top of learning someone else's job to take over their job. And they weren't really someone that kept things as organized, or there was just no way of me understanding this in a very simplistic way, right? And because of that, I feel like I was kind of set up for failure. And I get maybe I should have communicated that better with my leadership team, and I should have expressed my concerns sooner. But I also feel like it shouldn't have fallen on me necessarily to learn what this person does in their day-to-day job. I feel like that responsibility is also something that, as a leader, you should also know. Because you cannot, I don't believe that you can lead a team without knowing what your team does. I don't believe in telling someone to do something I can't even do myself, right? So that aside, once I kind of pushed through that and I started to, once we finally got someone in place and backfilled that position, I just felt so drained. I just felt like the energy and the motivation I had in this job just was gone. Long after that, I went through a drastic change in my life, where I went down this extreme spiral, and basically it became the start of my evolution to finding myself again and really redefining what my values are and who I am as a person, and the things I love and I'm passionate about. And then we bring it to 2024, which was one of the best years of my life. I found so much of myself, so much love had found me. Baby, don't sit under there. Baby, you're sitting under the camera. You're going to kick it over. Can you come over here? Come over here, Harry. Don't hit the equipment, bro. Hi, baby. Sorry. Oh, you're so cute, my love. You're giving me cuteness a question. Oh, hello, fat boy. Okay. So 2024 was the best year of my life, and I don't take that back in any I would never take back anything that I did, even if I wasted money on these trips and the shopping and the whatever. I did what made me fucking happy. I would never take that back. I mean, in some ways, I feel yeah, I wish I was more prepared for this change in my life, but I'm also fuck it. I've never once been demoted. I've never been laid off or fired from a job. But this definitely, I don't even know what to consider this. It is technically a demotion. Essentially, they have ended my assignment and they've taken me off the project that I've been on for the last 4.5 years. I started with this company 4.5 years ago in July of 2020, and I took a huge risk. It was a contracted job, and I knew that from the jump. I left a full-time salary job for this position because I felt like I'm going to work hard enough. I'm going to be motivated enough to keep myself year round. And year after year, I proved myself every single fucking time. Apparently, I didn't do enough of that this year. And that is okay, because I found something greater than any job could ever give me, which is myself, which is my happiness, which is my sanity. And I'm probably delusional to most people. I'm probably stupid. I'm probably crazy to believe that what I'm doing is the smart thing, or that this is the best thing, right? But once I processed it, maybe I'll feel a lot better. But I have to just keep reminding myself, like, it's not about what other people think. It's not about what other people's opinion of me is. It's about what I think, what I know is going to make me happy. What's going to satisfy my happiness. And for me, this was literally a redirection. This whole thing was like a buildup. Like, this was bound to happen one way or another. It was going to happen sooner or later. And I just felt like I was drowning after summer 2023. Like, I just felt like I was drowning in this team, in this position, and like the direction of where my career was going, because it just felt like I just didn't feel like there was enough support. And no one was looking at it as like, there was never a guidance on exactly how to do my job. And there were just generalizations of what could be acceptable, but not actually telling me how I need to do my job. And so that was taking a lot out of me. And it took me in a place where I went very dark for a while. Like, I felt lost. And so end of 2023, of course, like, I was going through a dramatic breakup. And again, contributing factors into my major depression was that I was going through a really pivotal part in my career. And I don't think I ever really talked about that because I guess I never understood the impact that it had on me. But it did. It took a major toll on my mental health. And tack that on with a breakup, and also me finally grieving the loss of my grandmother earlier that year. Like, everything just added up to finally explode. And I was sent into a better place mentally, though. Like, I became a better version of myself from then on. And through 2024, me finding myself was also finding that I just wasn't cut out for this corporate life. But I also feel like I have so many things to lose that I kind of have to stay. And the convenience of this job was something that I needed to hold on to. I used to feel so proud in the fact that, hey, I have this big girl job where I work in a corporate environment. And I'm also like a prime example of someone who has tattoos and works in a corporate environment. Not anymore, but I feel like that could be a factor into why they also got rid of me. I feel like my hair color, well, I've always had colored hair, but I feel like my tattoos are probably a reason that they also wanted to eliminate me from this contract. And that's okay. I feel like I've also been very vocal to like my leadership, at least, that there's so many things that I aspire to be outside of here. Like, I love and I'm grateful for this job, but I'm I also want to prioritize what makes me happy, right? And what makes me happy is things outside of this job. And I think it's pretty obvious. And so that's kind of what brought me here. Like, this was all built up from there. And I think I just have to be accepting of it, you know? Like, I don't even know if I have anything more to add to that. Like, I of course processed this, and like I cried about this today when I got the call and I got the news that I was no longer going to be on this contract after 4.5 years of my fucking life. And it's like, yeah, I could be mad that I spent 4.5 years of my life here. But then I can also think about it like, I guess better that it happened now, right? Because I'm in a transitional part of my life where my next steps and the plans that I have for myself this year actually had nothing to do with this job. Like, I wasn't banking on this too much. Of course, like, I was banking on it for the stability, the convenience, and the fact that, yes, of course I do survive off of this job. But I also have other sources of income, even if it's not even comparable to what I make there, whatever the case is. It's just the simple fact that I made sure to like prepare myself in ways subconsciously and even mentally. Like, I was preparing myself subconsciously for the end of this. So either way, like, even though you know something's going to end, like, trust, and you have like this gut feeling and your intuition is telling you like, this is like, I'm sure that people can relate to this, is like, you just have that gut feeling and that intuition that something is going to drastically change in your life and it's going to be the end of something for you. Even though you subconsciously, you intuitively felt the shift in the energy in the universe that like this change was going to happen. It was bound to happen. The end was coming, you know, it was inevitable. It doesn't mean that it hurts any less to part ways and say goodbye. Because at the end of the day, I'm still grieving a loss that was pretty important in my life. Like, this was major for me. But I think it's also exactly what I need to push me in the direction that I want to go. I want to take my podcast more seriously. I want to take my music seriously because I never have. Like, and then my ego sometimes gets in the way and I'm like, bitch, you're 30. I'm not 30 yet, but I'm about to be 30, right? Like, I need to have stability. Why am I going in the opposite direction of what I've always been about for the last 10 years of my life? My whole 20s, I've always maintained a job. I've been in corporate America for 10 years. I got very lucky, very grateful that I was able to find something at a young age and given the opportunity that I was given. So I've got this experience, but I also don't really, this might sound insane, but I don't really want to just go and find another corporate job. Like, it could be so easy for me to just go out and find another job with my work ethic, with my skills, with my longevity. Those are things that would make me a great candidate. But a huge part of me really leans towards not wanting to do that. I know that's the smart option, the safe option. But I also know that what I want to do with my life is something that no one's done. It's a risky decision that no one ever wants to make. But I kind of have to believe in myself. No, I don't I have to believe in myself. I have to believe in what I'm doing here. I have to believe in the vision that I have for the podcast. I have to believe that like, I'm not saying that this is that I'm motivated to make the podcast and to do the podcast for financial reasons. It would be great, absolutely, but this gives me more time to reevaluate things and pour more of myself into my podcast and the things that I love, the things that I'm passionate about. I don't even want to say the things that I have planned, that I've been planning for the last year. And I'm a little excited about what's going to happen and how my life is shifting and changing. But I'm also a little nervous, of course, because this is unusual. Like, I've never been in a position like this. But it's a greater opportunity because this is what I probably needed to motivate me to change and force myself to take my dreams seriously. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. I don't know what's going to happen in a couple of months. I just, like, and to even talk about this in a more, like, I'm probably going to sound crazy, but I'm not like a super huge astrology girly. Like, I dabble in it. I certainly dabble in spirituality and like all of that very much. But I had been just as I have in previous episodes, I've mentioned that I'm currently in my Saturn return. And to my knowledge, I am about to reach the peak of my Saturn return, like in the next couple of weeks. And I've been so very nervous about what's going to come during this peak. And I kind of predicted about a year ago, I'm like, I feel like as I go into the peak of my Saturn return, I think it might be time for me to part ways with my job, like with my full-time career. I have nothing that I'm really falling back on because I haven't seen any fruitfulness from any of the stuff that I've done, but just I have other plans for myself financially that I want to do, that I'm going to do. But I just felt like at the peak of my Saturn return, I knew that the end of my career was coming. I knew that I would kind of be forced into taking my craft more seriously, or being able to take my craft more seriously, and just trust that the universe is about to work this out for me. Like, I feel like this Saturn return is teaching me that I need to take this risk. Like, I feel like I personally understand my purpose so much more. And it was through this podcast that I found my purpose. And I haven't lost the momentum. I haven't lost the spark that I have about suffering of silence. Like, I still believe in what I want to do with this. And I think now I'm able to finally give consistent weekly episodes. I think that I am able to offer more quality time, I should say, into this podcast and my music and everything else that I want to do. And it's not to say that I don't have other options lined up. Those other options just don't really appeal to me. And as much as I want to be like this strong, independent girly who has endless amount of money, I don't even know if I find that important anymore. I don't know if I find the importance of working as much anymore. Or I don't know if I find the importance of having a career, a corporate career anymore. And my podcast might be the reason that I got pushed out of my position. My podcast, someone probably was listening to it. Someone probably found, well, I know they found my Instagram because I found someone creeping. I blocked him. But anyways, I'm more than sure that they've listened to episodes of my podcast. I know that they've probably seen things that they probably didn't like about about me and my life, which is probably why they're trying to push me out of this position. And that is okay, because I trust that the universe is going to guide me to exactly where I need to be. And again, my plans for what I have had nothing to do with my corporate job. I'm still going to make it happen. I'm still going to make it work with or without it. I just believe that this truly happened for a reason. Like, I needed this fire lit under my ass to make me less afraid to take the risk of committing and truly committing to my podcast and my music, because I have nothing else to lose at this point. Like, I've already lost my corporate job. What worse can it be? Right? Like, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I don't want to speak that into existence, but it's like, that was such an important thing for me, and now it's down the drain. Because it's what also kind of makes me hesitant of like looking for another corporate job is because like I could find another corporate job and commit 4.5 years of my life to this job and this company, and they could turn around and do the same thing again. Find a reason to eliminate my position. Find a reason to push me out and force me. And that's even scarier to think about, because 4 years from now I would be 34. So how long am I going to take to wait on the right time to take the risk of following my dreams, of committing to this podcast? How many years am I going to take to finally take my music seriously? How many years am I going to take to finally just do what makes me fucking happy? I don't have many responsibilities, but I do have enough in which, yes, it would be scary to think of losing everything. But sometimes I truly, truly believe that everything needs to fall apart in order to come back together for the better. I just find like everything resonates with each other. The way that, like, the way I have to grieve the loss of my job is the same way I have to grieve the loss of my friendships, the innocence that I once saw in people that were close to me, or this is gonna sound super crazy, and I probably sound like a fucking maniac when I say this, but a lot of the things that I'm currently going through outside of me losing my job is that I am losing people close to me. Like, I'm going through something personally in my family. Like I said, I didn't really want to talk too many details about, but it's essentially shifted my perspective on a lot of people in my life. And it just makes me see things like, okay, so I think one thing that I have a hard time with is seeing people for who they really are, because I have a hard time grieving the idea of who I thought they were. I have the hardest time with that shit. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to be okay with that. I don't know if I'm ever going to heal from that. I have such a hard time being okay with, like, I have a hard time being okay with people who turn out to be different from who I thought they were. Like, I have a hard time being disappointed in who someone actually is. And that's what keeps me from letting go sooner than later. And I also don't, like I've said, I value friendships so much in my life. I value relationships so much in my life. And even when they end, or even when I'm not as close to someone, and even if I'm not as intimate with someone, I still like to see the beauty in the friendship, relationship dynamic that I had with them. Because the version of who I was then is someone that's always going to be a part of me. I'm always going to love that part of me. Even if I've grown and become a better person after that, I will always love those versions of me. And I have a hard time because, well, like I said, I value and I cherish whatever dynamic I had with that person. And it will never, like, for me personally, like, it will just never be ill will on my end. If you were a friend to me, if you were ever there for me, like, it would never be ill will on my end. And it's kind of insane to me that, like, a couple of people have done some very similar things in the last couple of months. They've acted the same way, and I thought it was kind of crazy. Essentially, like, I want to be as vague as I can because I don't really want to put too much of this business out there, but basically, an incident occurred. A couple people that I love and care about were involved in it. One person feels that I'm taking the other person's side rather than me just being a neutral person. Well, I don't want to say neutral, but rather than me still being a loving person to both, they've kind of taken me and pushed me off to the side and just kind of set their own boundaries that they don't want me in their lives. And that's okay. And, like, I had another incident with someone, a falling out, I guess you could say, and they don't, apparently there's ill will between us. I didn't even realize. I just personally been going through a lot of shit, and I needed my time and distance from a lot of people. And not that this person shouldn't take it personal, but when I start to realize that there's just relationships and friendships that require too much of my attention when I'm not able to give that space to that friendship or relationship, I distance myself. And I think that's the healthiest thing I can do. And I try to communicate that with people. And I don't feel like I ever need to explain to someone why I need space and distance. Like, I'm not obligated to tell anyone. Like, if I just need time and space, like, that's what I can give you. Like, that's all I can give you. And maybe when I'm ready to talk about things, like, I'll reach out. But it doesn't mean that, like, it has to be like a bad end to things. And to me, that just kind of shows that it just gives me a realization of how people really perceive you. Like, I think I talked about this before. Like, the way that relationships end and how they act afterwards is truly a reflection of how they really felt about you the whole time. Like for example, let's say you broke up with your boyfriend and they start wigging out on you and they are tight as fuck about it, and they're like just throwing tantrums or talking shit about you, putting dirt on your name, da 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 da. But you have an agreement that you are going to stay friends and you're going to stay cordial. You're good. Like, like this has to be a mutual understanding in some way. Like, I just don't feel like this is right for us anymore. Da da da. Let's just say, for example, you break up with your significant other and it's a mutual thing. But then afterwards they're like, oh no, I broke up with them. I broke up with her. I dumped her ass. I called it quits. That just goes to show what type of person they fucking are. Okay? Like, I really, really, really love the end of things because it really shows you what kind of person someone is when you no longer give them access to you and they don't get what they want, right? So it helps you understand that they never valued you, they never respected you in the first fucking place. And I think it's always going to be strange to me. It's always going to be hard for me to like understand and just like be okay with that, because it's like, damn, I look at you and I'm like, oh, I value our friendship. I value our relationship. I valued the connection we had. But for you to just throw me off to the side is pretty hurtful, right? That's how I look at things and that's how I feel. But obviously no one else, a lot of people don't tend to like reciprocate that. And that's okay. Like, I'm just not the type of person that goes around bad-mouthing someone just because things didn't work out with us. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a significant other, or it's, a work relationship. Now, I will speak my truth and I will speak on how I feel. If I feel like I was wronged or disrespected, I will be clear on that, right? Just like with this whole work situation. I feel disrespected because I put so many years into this, and the way that they ended it was so petty. If you felt like the fate of my position was, the fate of my career specifically was going to go this direction, had you just said that sooner, maybe I would have been, or just a lot more honest about it, and there were conversations leading up to that, I'd be cool with it. But I also took responsibility in my part, in my own suffering. And that was because I knew I was checked out. I knew I was checking out a while back. And I take responsibility for that, for fucking sure. And, unfortunately in life, nothing's really fucking fair. And you kind of just have to accept it for what it is. And it's really unfortunate that you have to be accepting that like life doesn't play fair with you. But I just don't want it to like turn me cold. I don't want it to jade me. I don't want it to change me in the worst way possible, right? Like, this could be traumatizing. This could be extremely, like, I could take this so terribly and in the worst ways possible. But then I remember like my resilience, and I remember who the fuck I am, okay? Like, I remember that I'm talented, I'm very skilled, I'm very creative, I'm very intelligent, and I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this rough patch. I'm going to get through whatever this is, like, it might seem like a terrible thing right now, but this is most likely just directing me towards my true hopes and dreams. And I want to be honest that I am scared to follow my hopes and dreams because I've watched people close to me, like my ex. I've watched him try, I've watched him believe in himself, only to kind of not end up anywhere with it, or even in a worser spot. And he may chalk that up to my contribution towards tarnishing his name. But in a lot of ways, like, he kind of dug that hole himself, you know? And I caught myself comparing myself to him. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I still have like a hard time letting go of the idea that I'm on a different level than him, that I'm not a shitty person. Like, I still equate myself to him. And I think that's my biggest downfall, is that people like him treat people like shit all the time, like, if I'm honest. And I think this is something that's also healing for me, is I'm just now processing that I have been holding myself to the same level as him. Like, I still see myself as, in some way, even like less than him, or at the same level as him, when I'm not. Like, I don't ever think I'm better than anyone, but I'm definitely better than an abuser. I'm definitely better than someone who bullies people. I'm definitely better than someone who treats people with disrespect and is god awful to them. I'm definitely better than that, like, for sure. And for so long, I just didn't see myself as that person. Like, I didn't see myself as someone who was better than him. Because I don't feel that way about myself often, you know? And because of that feeling and how I was perceiving myself in comparison to him, I was feeling like my hopes and dreams were never attainable, because I've watched him chase his hopes and dreams and didn't attain them. He didn't attain them. And I'm not saying that it still can't happen, but I don't know. I don't know. But he's definitely tarnished a lot of relationships that he's built that could have gotten him further in his career. And it's pretty sad to see all of that crumble in front of him. But that's besides the point. For me, I'm coming into this with pure intentions. And my intention is to get the word out there, to advocate for mental health, to advocate for breaking toxic cycles, generational cycles that continue to put us in situations that are unhealthy to everyone involved. Like, my purpose is to bring a narrative or bring a perspective of domestic violence and mental health in a way that is unconventional. These are already unconventional topics. People don't want to talk about these things. People don't want to have the conversation. Like, I've been given the purpose to give a voice to people who are too afraid to speak up. I have been given a voice to advocate for those who are too afraid to stand up and speak for themselves, and motivate them to speak up for themselves, even if it's not even on this level or this caliber of an audience. Like, I don't expect people to come and just I don't expect people to come onto the podcast and talk about these things. I don't expect people to broadcast their experiences to the world. But I hope that me feeling empowered enough to speak on the shit that I talk about and to be vulnerable and to be who I am, I just hope that it like motivates other people to be that way in their lives. Doesn't have to be in a big dramatic way like this, like a podcast or on the internet or whatever the fuck else. Like, I just hope that it puts you in a more motivated position to just live authentically yourself and speak your truth and never let anyone else change your truth for you. 'Cause I'm sure that the people I've experienced things with will have their own say in what the situation was. And that is okay. They are valid to have that. That is okay. That is okay by me. You can have those. You can have those perspectives. You can have that experience in your own way. But I will never invalidate you for that. But I just hope that they never. Well, I can't say that because I know that they would probably invalidate my experience and my perspective of it. And that's okay too, because I will never invalidate myself. And I think that's what's important. And I hope that it motivates other people to be able to stand up for themselves and to feel strongly about how they feel and to feel passionate about how they feel. There's a lot of things that I feel passionate about, and I may not have valued in the past. I was able to shift my perspective on things, a lot of things. But I feel that I would be the perfect example of someone who has made mistakes and learned from that and is choosing every single day to be different. And I just hope that it motivates other people to do the same. So yeah, ultimately, I feel like if you get anything out of this episode, you can get that I lost my job. I lost my corporate job. And I know all my haters. I'm just kidding. I don't even know if I really have haters. But I know all my haters. If you are out there, you're going to be happy about that. But I'm happy about it too. Because this kind of shifts things for me and puts me into... It just kind of moves my timeline of events a lot faster than I expected. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to slow down because of this. So yeah, if you get anything out of this episode, I lost my job, and I'm about to start posting weekly episodes for you guys. I don't think I'm ever going to run out of things to talk about because I've stayed primarily focused on the purpose of why I started this podcast, for those unconventional conversations with your unconventionally beautiful host. Thank you very much. And if you get anything else out of this episode, it is that the ending of something doesn't always have to be the ending. It's just the start of something new. It's just redirecting you into being and living the life that you want, that you truly want, that's going to make you happy. I don't know why, but in my head, like, money comes and money goes. It's always going to be there. Like, there's always going to be ways to make money. But to make happiness that's not as easy. You cannot make happiness. You have to go out there and find it for yourself. Like, that is... Like, I feel like I had been so unhappy for so long, and I know why now. Like, I know why. Like, I feel a little relieved about things. And it just is what it is, you know? Like, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't think I really care enough to fight. And if you get anything else on top of this, Like, if you get anything else out of this episode, please understand that, like, I think we have to remember that if we plan to do out of the ordinary things, we have to be willing to do out of the ordinary things to achieve that goal. And maybe this is it. I probably sound stupid. I definitely know I sound stupid, delusional, and crazy to take the risk of, like, of what I'm about to do, and, like, be more committed on the pod, be more committed to posting, be committed to music, and this other thing that I have planned I don't want to reveal. I know I sound delusional in feeling motivated to do all of these things, but something in my heart is just telling me that this is what I needed to do. Like, this is just what I need in my life. Like, I'm pretty excited to see what comes of it in the next few months. Who knows? I just feel like I've got a blank slate in front of me, and, like, unfortunately it wasn't on my terms that I'm leaving this position, but, like, I just knew the fate. Like, I just knew the fate of my career was this. Like, it was inevitable. And I know that Saturn's teaching me that endings need to happen, and I need to be more accepting of it. And this is probably what I need to, like, further myself and my personal growth. So, yeah. I really appreciate everyone supporting me and the podcast. Like, Suffering of Silence has been my baby. We're about to come up on a year, and holy shit, a lot has changed in the last year. And thank you to everyone who's, like, discovering it, who is sharing it, and is just getting the word out there. And I'm so sorry if I don't respond. Like, again, I've been going through shit personally, and my responses are very much delayed and very very terrible. Okay, like, don't take it personal. It's not because I don't want to talk to you specifically. It's literally just because I am overwhelmed with a lot of things that are going on in my life. I try to get to everyone as quickly as I can, but I really appreciate you guys, like, supporting me. Like, y'all don't know how much it means to me, because it keeps me going, even if it's just a few of you guys that are out there listening consistently. Like, I adore you guys so much. Like, I just don't know what else to say. Like, thank you so much for, like, being Sabscribers. You'll start getting more consistent content from me, I guess. So, I'll be coming up with more creative ways on how I can share things with you guys. And, yeah, guess we'll go from there. But thank you guys so much for all the love and support. Sab here, signing off again on another episode of Suffering of Silence. I'm gonna catch y'all next week.